right. Thank you, everybody, for attending today and listening to Dan and I here. We're very excited to present to everyone about our new partnership with Lumen, our newest white label partner. I am Ryan McCall, the CEO of Scout Security, and with me is Dan Roberts.
Hey everyone, Dan Roberts, co-founder here at Scout and Chief Product Officer. We'll be talking a little bit today about the deal and what it means to Scout. So first up, I know we're going to get into what Scout is all about, but quickly, big news for us. We signed Lumen as a partner, our new white label partner, this past week. And Lumen is an S&P 500, Fortune 500 company with 20 billion in revenue. So based on our success with Windstream and other telco efforts here in the US, we are looking to penetrate 10% of their 5 million subscriber base, which we'll work through that example here later in the presentation, but is a considerable opportunity for ARR moving forward. And it's something that we've done before, so this is not entirely new. We are doing this with Windstream, which is a growing partnership over the last year, and we see that parlaying into Lumen's success over the long term. Another big piece of news, so as we head into the end of the year here, we're also going to be activating Windstream's e-commerce channel. So to date, for those of you who don't know, they've been selling primarily to new customers. And so the e-commerce channel is going to open up 1.4 million additional subs that we can go tap and continue to grow that ARR. So in addition to Lumen, a big piece of news heading into the end of the year. And then lastly, just a couple things before we hop into a little bit of background on Lumen and the Scout deal. It's worth bearing in mind that we do have enough binding purchase orders and shipments from Windstream that once those sell through to end users would generate enough recurring revenue for us to balance our monthly cash burn. So Lumen's exciting, but don't forget that we do have enough orders on hand from our existing partners to balance that monthly cash burn. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the growth capital we're raising at this point as well to support these growth steps. So for those of you that don't know Scout, we are a security as a service platform. And I won't spend a ton of time. We have done other presentations on in-depth what we do, but that's how to think about us. So we are a platform, turnkey DIY. Basically, enterprise partners through Scout can go offer high margin recurring services to their end users by utilizing Scout. And that's proving out. We have already over 1.3 million in ARR at the end of the fiscal, and we're growing fast. So what does that look like when we say security as a service solution? Well, we've been building as a DIY company for 10 years, our platform, all the back-end systems, and our front-end application. So that means that a partner that has no experience in the security realm, no team internal that can handle something like this, can step in and adopt Scout security as a service as a turnkey solution. So they don't have to have the team. It's a new revenue line for them. It's a very fast, cheap way to market, and it's built on 10 years of experience. So they love that experience piece of it. And then the consumers, because we've been building for 10 years, are getting best-in-class DIY security, right? So it's everything they're to come to expect from a leading camera platform, from controlling in their app, 24/7 police, fire, and EMS dispatch, all the benefits of home security for the end user. And then Scout, what we get out of this, and we believe we're the only folks that are doing this white label DIY, is that we're eliminating customer acquisition costs. So basically, we're relying on brands with established relationships to bring us customers. We then don't have to go out and spend a lot of marketing dollars and wait out payback periods, which is really important. And that brand allegiance is something that Scout as a brand would take decades to build up, whereas these enterprise partners already have that, and we can leverage that for our customer acquisition piece. So, all of that builds into what we like about this industry. So Ryan, next slide. First of all, it's large and growing. So expectations that it will be an $11 billion industry by 2027. And by that, I mean the DIY home security. The home security market at large is even larger than that globally, growing quickly at 19.6% CAGR. And when you look at our business, when you think about how to judge us moving forward, it's really on the recurring revenue piece. We are a recurring revenue business. Anything that we do on the device side or outside of those recurring revenue services are just stepping stones to get to recurring revenue. So that's why we want you to judge us based on our ARR. And this is, by no means our first time doing this. We do have established partners with Prosegur internationally, Windstream here domestically in the US, and now, which we'll get into here in a minute, the details of the Lumen partnership. And then lastly, I won't spend much time on this, but we integrate with all of the best, third-party smart home solutions. So our partners, our consumers have complete flexibility in how they guard and monitor their home. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan McCall to talk through the new Lumen partnership, what it means to our business, and some of the capital pieces that we're doing here this week.
All right, thank you, Dan, and thank you to everyone who's joining us to watch our presentation about our newest white label partner in the telecommunications space, Lumen. So Lumen is a Fortune 500 company. It can be found on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker LUMN. Lumen has 5 million broadband subscribers under their own brand, and when you couple that with their subsidiaries and sister companies, that number balloons to 7.5 million. Now, this $20 billion revenue company has entrusted Scout to build out their next generation home security service to their ISP customers. So as part of this, Lumen's going to be paying Scout $360,000 approximately to build out the app, the back end, and the entire technology stack that we have to offer under their brand. We expect this development is going to take about 3 months. We've already begun development, so that should be wrapped up well before the end of this calendar year, at which point in time we will begin testing, both internally within Scout, within Lumen, and within existing customers to further refine and finalize the solution for then launching in the first half of the calendar year of 2023. As we move through this, our target is 10% penetration of that Lumen customer base. That is in the medium term. Now, what gives us a lot of excitement about this is the fact that we have eliminated the barrier to entry for DIY home security. Traditionally, home security, you have to have a hub. A hub looks a lot like a router, and this hub can cost anywhere from $100 to $200 depending on supplier. Now, that is a big upfront cost just to say, now you have security. That doesn't account for any of your other sensors like entry or glass break or water sensors. It doesn't count for any of your cameras. So $100 to $200 just to have home security. With this next generation solution that we're developing for Lumen, we use the Wi-Fi waves in your house. And as those Wi-Fi waves are disrupted, we sense motion, we sense activity. We know people are opening and closing doors. We can tell the difference between your dog and your cat and your baby and you yourself. So by doing this, there's no upfront cost to the consumer. It is as easy as flicking a switch on Lumen systems, and the customer now has that added to their bill, and they now have whole home security based on their Lumen app and their existing Wi-Fi. By removing that main barrier to entry for DIY home security, we intend to unlock sky-high take rates. So this is going to be sold through direct to consumer, over the phone, on e-com, and by removing that initial hardware purchase, we think our adoption rate is even going to be higher than Windstream's casino so far. And what this also does is by developing out this solution, it enables us to have a much expanded pipeline of every other internet service provider that can use the same underlying technologies. So as we've mentioned, Lumen has 5 million subscribers and Windstream has 1.4 million. And our target is to get to 10% of those Lumen 5 million, or for 500,000 subscribers, 500,000 subscribers. Now, we also know from working with Lumen throughout the years is that our ARPU, or average revenue per user, is approximately $7.60. That is what it is today. Now, our initial target was $4.70 for the same customer base with Windstream. When you look over to the side here and you see the math for you, so a single white label customer of ours, if they have 5 million subscribers and we approach 10% acquisition and ARPU range of $4.70 to $7.60, that equates to annual recurring revenue to Scout from one white label partner of $28 to $45 million. So the goal is there, the money is there, the explosive growth is there. It's just a matter of executing and delivering, which we are well prepared to do. Further, when looking back at Windstream, again, 1.4 million subs, and us, and again, in the medium term, targeting 10% penetration there. Now, this is only being sold over the phone to new customers who call in to Windstream trying to buy internet service. And their specialized team is adding on Scout DIY home security, white labeled under the Kinetic Secure Home brand. And even with that, over the first 9 months, from month 1, September 21, to month 9 in June 2022, that partnership has delivered to Scout average recurring revenue of almost $700,000. 1.4 million base, not even being sold to, only new customers, it's almost $700,000 in ARR. Now, as we get ready to launch their e-com channel here in the second half of 22, before the turn of the year, that's going to unlock both new and existing customers to simply buy DIY home security from Windstream right online, which is the way that DIY home security has been sold since its inception. So that is going to unlock a whole new channel for us. And when you keep all of that in mind, at 700,000 ARR, only to new customers, only a 1.4 million base, and Lumen has 3.5 more active subs than Windstream does, and we expect that they will launch with e-com ready. So the growth is there. The growth is going to be explosive, and we just couldn't be more excited about it. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the capital raise and what we're going to do to support our growth. So as many of you are likely aware, we're here to raise $2.3 million. You probably have a term sheet in hand, so I'm not going to spend much time actually going through the details of the raise. If you do have questions, please reach out to the fine folks at Sequoia or email investors@scoutalarm.com. The way we plan on using these funds is simply through general working capital of the business. So we do not need to buy equipment, invest in infrastructure, property, or inventory to grow this business. It is all about the people that we have and building out the technology stack, white labeling it for our customers. And the most important thing is, even though our customers will buy hardware, now we said Lumen doesn't need hubs, that's true, but their customers are going to want indoor outdoor cameras, doorbells, potentially locks, all those things that they may want outside of the hub and say the door and window sensors. We are at net parity terms with our suppliers and with our customers. So as the customer places an order to Scout and we place it to the supplier, and that supply ships and the bill is due, we receive from our customer to the supplier, so we're not having to float the cost. So again, very exciting times. We really plan on putting this to work and driving as much AR over the time as we possibly can to continue the explosive growth path that Scout is on. With that, I'm going to talk a little bit about our corporate structure for a few minutes. So we've been in a year of change in Scout within the calendar year 2022. Dan, our co-founder and CEO since 2013, voluntarily stepped aside in January as himself and the board brought me on to run as the CEO. I've got an extremely long history in engineering and business, sales and marketing, B2B and B2C, global brands, with my specialty is growing and scaling small companies. Dan obviously has an extremely strong background in design, knows everything there is to know about the DIY home security market, has been our CEO and started the company, and now is our Chief Product Officer and running strategy. Kevin Brennan, a former CEO in his own right, has been consulting with Scout for many years in the Chief Operating Officer capacity. We finally convinced him in April of this year to come on full-time in that role. And historically, Scout has outsourced all of its accounting, both bookkeepers in Australia and outsourced CFO services here in the United States. To reduce costs, improve efficiency, and improve the accuracy of everything we do on a day-to-day basis, we brought on Hillary Smith as our Vice President of Accounting in June 2022. So when you combine all those things together, what we're seeing is reducing costs by eliminating outsourced services, streamlining things, and bringing in extremely capable people in the right roles at the highest level to really scale this company and do it fast. Looking at our key shareholders here, you'll see that EGP Capital is our top shareholder, followed by Prosegur. Prosegur is one of our white label partners. They invested heavily in the business several years ago. Followed by Dan and his co-founder Dave next, and then Altor Capital and Amazon. So Amazon.com invested in Scout several years ago. We are an Amazon fund company. And then on the other side of the page here, you see our entire board of directors. Dan, Martin Priddy, our non-executive chairman, Dave, our co-founder, and then Anthony Brown and Solomon Matilis, our other non-executive directors. So with that, we're going to wrap up by me handing it back to Dan to just talk a little bit about our outlook, even with Lumen and then beyond.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So as we think about the next 12 months, what does that look like? Well, the focus is on scaling, and Windstream's already doing that. So the Lumen deal is really additive to scaling our ARR. So 5 million households is just an incredible TAM for us to go after. Removing that hardware friction point, not needing to purchase hardware is huge. We feel very confident that we can move quickly, growing Lumen as soon as we get it launched. And then that Windstream e-commerce I mentioned before, but that is how DIY has been sold for a long time. We appreciate that they're bundling the home security for their new customers and new residential installs, but we think there's a huge opportunity in that 1.4 million existing base that are used to buying DIY and smart devices through e-com. Similarly, we have a B2B2C camera program, which has kind of gotten overshadowed by some of the bigger deals on the white label side. But we are very excited about being able to enable smaller ISPs, WISPs, alarm dealers to basically add recurring revenue through cameras. And we've reduced MOQs and made that very easy for them to do. So see that as another revenue driver moving ahead. Ryan just touched on the growth financing. We're very excited to be able to put some of the funds to work to make sure that these partnerships just continue month on month, net new sub ads and growing our ARR. And we really do believe that the growth financing is going to help us achieve that. Now, importantly, Ryan sort of went into depth on the motion sense technology, what we see as the future of our product line. There are tens of millions of households, namely through Plume, who's one of the partners that's helping us deliver the Lumen solution. They themselves have 40 million households with their Wi-Fi mesh pods in them. But as we get into Wi-Fi 6 routers, which I'll talk about here in a second, they're literally anyone through an ISP with a Wi-Fi 6 router will be able to use our next gen tech, which is very, very exciting. So Ryan, next slide. So, to say this as basically as I can, the equipment that ISPs now and over the next 12 to 24 months are going to be pushing into users' homes is everything we need to deliver baseline home security. So it's their router and the endpoints in the home. We can detect motion through those waves when you have two endpoints. So it's that simple, but that simplicity hides the fact that has huge opportunity. So what we are doing by using existing equipment is giving every user a basic home security system up front. No cost, no hardware purchase. They have it. They just have to activate it. And then we bring in our lower cost, HD cameras, our 24/7 monitoring, all those high margin recurring services on a monthly basis that let them augment that security. And, they go as big or as small as they want, but now it's within reach of every end user, which is pretty exciting. So we feel that opens up, over 3,000 ISPs domestically and globally, and it's tens of millions of households. So could not be more excited about the future of Scout and what this Lumen deal is unlocking as we move forward. Well, thank you so much for listening. Please direct your questions to the team at Sequoia or investors@scoutalarm.com. Ryan and I are around and happy to answer questions. We're very excited about where we're headed. And Ryan, I don't know if you have any parting words.
No, I think that was great. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate our investors, our board, and everyone who works for Scout. And we're really looking forward to continue this journey and moving ever upward. So thank you so much.